This poem, it's really meaningful to me. It has a lot of depth to it. I don't know how much sense it's going to make when you're just listening, but I really like it, so I'm going to read it. It's called The Gift of the Waterfall. And she knelt there patiently, with her hands cupped before her, open, waiting. And a small droplet fell into her hands, a gift from the waterfall to her. And she looked down into her hands, waiting for more to come, but more never came. She waited all through the day and deep into the night, looking up with great admiration and longing at the waterfall. Somewhere water was falling, bathing whatever it chose in its own sweet glory. And she looked down into her hands and realized nothing more would ever come. This was her gift in its entirety. And she hung her head and squeezed her eyes shut tight at the painful thought of it. It was not enough to make the sun shine. It was not enough to bring the rain. It was not enough to cleanse her soul or to fill it up. It was not enough. And she held her hands out, open, cupped, cradling the droplet as if she held heaven in her hands. And indeed to her it was. Nothing had ever been greater or grander or worth more to her than what she now held so carefully in her palms. She swallowed hard and opened her eyes and looked down at what the waterfall had bestowed. She knew somewhere the mighty waterfall cascaded over someone else, its majestic beauty and magical presence blessing them in full force. And she thought back to all she had ever had in the past, to when her hands had been full, and she realized that they had only always been full of empty air until this exact point. All the times that she had ever thought that she was full, she had been empty, and it had all been but a sad dream. And now the droplet glistening in her hand was more than she had ever had before, and though just one drop out of millions, she looked at it in awe, with new eyes, for it was more than she had ever been given. She still longed to be bathed by the waterfall. She still wished to have the scars washed clean and her soul drenched in its beauty. But she knew that what she held was the most precious thing she had ever held, and she knew exactly what she would do with it. She quickly and with great excitement, full of gratefulness and joy, opened up her heart and soul completely, and then ever so slowly and carefully she let the droplet run down her hand and over her fingertips and fall into her chest. And she let the droplet touch her soul and gently caress her scars. She was not healed. No, not even close. But she could feel it there inside of her, and it was the strongest feeling she had ever felt. Her adoration and love and thankfulness to the waterfall for allowing her to have the droplet. And she laid down on her back and put her hand over her heart and closed her eyes and concentrated on the feeling there. She could feel it with every beat of her heart. It was the most cherished of any gift received, the most exalted of any feeling she had ever felt. "Thank you," she whispered up at the waterfall, and the waterfall kept up its mighty rushing elsewhere, but the drop was hers to keep. The